Absolute dynamite. Oh my goodness.
Thank you very much indeed, everybody, for being here today as we look ahead to something which is pretty special. Not only a return of big-time boxing to Birmingham and the fabulous arena here, which is one of the top venues for boxing in the country, but as you'll see, and as you can look behind me, the fights coming up, we have 6 tremendous fights for you. There's the world title, top of the bill, WBO bantamweight title, Zolani Tete against John Casimero, Sam Bowen against Anthony Kikuchi, British super featherweight title. We've got Chris Jenkins against Liam Taylor. We're going to be talking about that shortly. Terrific vacant British super middleweight title fight. Lerone Richards against Lennox Clark. Sam Maxwell against Conor Parker, which is a WBO European super lightweight title. And another European title fight between Hamza Shiraz and Ryan Kelly. So all of those, I think, stand comparison with a lot of fights that we see around the country, and it promises to be an excellent night of boxing. So I'll start off with the first 3 fights that we're going to be talking about up here, and I'll introduce, first of all, the British welterweight fighters, Chris Jenkins, who's going to be defending his title against Liam Taylor. Chris from Garnant in Wales, 22 wins, 3 defeats, 2 draws, and everybody who's seen him knows what a good performer he is. This is Chris Jenkins to my right. To my left, from Middleton, 28 years old, 3 years Chris's junior, is Liam Taylor, who's had just 1 defeat in 22 fights, and got a points win over Tyrone Nurse, which shows the standard he's at, which earned him this opportunity for the British welterweight title. Now, inside those 2, first of all, from Birmingham, 25 years old, in his 17th professional fight, just 2 defeats, is Ryan Kelly, and he's a real test, make no doubt about it, for the undefeated prospect who's defending his WBO European Super Welterweight title, undefeated in 9 fights, from Slough, Hamza Shiraz. And then concluding the first 3 that we've got up here, we've got WBO Super Lightweight contest and another cracker as well, an undefeated fighter from Swadlincote, from Woodville to be precise, on the edge of Swadlincote, Conor Parker, and he's up against Sam Maxwell from Liverpool, who's undefeated in 12 likewise, and had that spectacular win in his last fight in winning this super lightweight title, in beating Sabir Sabiri, correct name? I think so, yeah. The Frenchman who'd had him in trouble, and then he produced what for me was one of the most extraordinary knockouts you'd see anywhere. Needed 1 big punch, he found it, put him away, and that's why he's sitting here today as the title holder. So, 3 excellent fights to talk about from the outset. Let's start off then with Chris Jenkins against Liam Taylor. Chris, you won your title beating Paddy Gallagher in Belfast in August. Not an easy night, 1 point on the judges' cards. You thought it was easier though, didn't you? You thought it should have been wider.
Yeah, I defended it and actually picked up a Commonwealth title at the same time on the same night. And, you know, boxing's an art. You punch him, don't get it. And that happened all the way through. Yes, he dropped me with a body shot. And I laughed afterwards because it's stupid. But it hurt at the time. But what you expect to get punched? But at the end of the day, he went in with the head, and it's been seen, it's been ruled over and all that. So I won easier for personally.
Well, we certainly had it wider than the judges did on that occasion. I think Barry had it by 2 or 3, if I remember rightly. But you had pretty horrendous facial injuries, 22 stitches afterwards.
Yeah, I think I had 22 in this one, and then I had 5 in that one. So Taylor, just keeping that out the way, he'll be right then.
That's always been a problem, hasn't it? The cuts.
Not really, because I all my fights I've never been cut by a punch. From the first cut I had was by a head clash and stuff. So it's probably because they got a shape of their head, probably my weird shaped head.
What's your thoughts about Liam?
Like I was saying before, you know, he's 22-1. He's got a win over Nurse, a split decision. I lost to a split decision, but I thought I did actually win it. You know, he's tall, he's rangy. He deserves his shot at it. Simple as. This fight should have happened 2 or 3 days before now, but you now, and then you know this is going to happen on Saturday, whatever happens.
Liam, what's your thoughts about Chris Jenkins? Because this is a terrific opportunity for you.
Yeah, of course. You know, Chris is a very good fighter. I've seen him fight a lot before. You know, he beat Gallagher and before he beat Garton. You know, like I said, I didn't really expect him to beat Garton, but when he boxed very well. You know, and he proved that he's a worthy champion.
So what's the key? How do you beat him?
Just do what I do best, and that's box. You know, box at range. He'll box off at range, and it'll be a good tactical fight. I just believe that I'm a little bit better in every department than him, as I'm sure he believes he's better than me.
So you really have that self-belief, do you, that this is going to be your night?
Yeah, of course. You know, I was mandatory challenger for this belt. I've earned this. You know, I got beat off Tyrone Nurse a few years ago. I avenged the defeat, and it put me in a mandatory position. So yeah, I do believe that I deserve this shot, and I will win. You
perhaps don't know this, but we asked Tyrone which way he thought it would go, and he favours Chris.
Yeah, again, it don't mean nothing, does it? But yeah, that's fine, isn't it? Yeah, great.
Chris, you've had some quality sparring. You've been working with Robbie Davis Jr., I'm told.
Yeah, I've actually had some good rounds with Robbie Davis Jr. You know, he's tall as well, rangy, but he likes to come in for a scrap for some reason. So, I've also been doing Cassie Benjamin as well, a lad from Birmingham, I think. He's a Midlands champion, and you know, I've been kids in the gym and stuff. I've been sparring with, you know, the sparring, everything's been done. That's all, and I know for a fact on Saturday that I'm going to beat them, simple as.
It's an amazing turnaround, isn't it? Because you don't have to go back so long, and you know, you were at a point in your career where you're actually thinking, do I really need this? Do I really want this?
Yeah, well, like, it was only 12, 18 months ago. I lost my best friend. Went through a tough time, and then I was like, no, I don't need this in life. Coming home, getting cut, getting robbed, whatever. But, you know, Gary Lockett was the main man behind there. My wife has pushed me as well. And look where we are now. You know, I couldn't write a book on it. Or I could write a book on it, you could say. But then again, I can't write, so we just stick the box in.
How good has it been working with Gary Lockett?
It's his birthday as well, so I just want to say happy birthday, guys. Happy birthday. And another thing, he's the happiest, grumpiest man you ever known. But he's there for you any time of the day, and he's a role model for me in the boxing and outside of boxing as well.
We'll talk about Gary Lockett with Chris. You've got Steve Malett, Liam. Yeah. Tell us about your preparations and what it's like working with him.
Yeah, working with Steve, you know, again, he's a great coach. You know, he's brought Terry Flanagan to World Honours. You know, he's just very professional in what he does. Everything's really, he's on it, on everything. You know, the preparation's been perfect. I don't think it could have been any better. Like, I'm ready Saturday. If I'm not ready this week, to win this time, then I never will be.
You've got a height and presumably a reach advantage as a result of that. How important is that going to be?
Yeah, it might play its part. Like I say, Chris he likes to box off as well, so it could do at times, you know. But I think it's just going to come down to who's probably the fresher, and I believe I am.
Chris has told us a bit about what becoming the champion means to him, having been on the point of sort of saying that's enough. If you got the Lonsdale belt on Saturday night, how would it change your life? What would it mean to you?
Yeah, to achieve that, that's what I set out, you know, 9 years ago when I turned professional to win the British title. So it's been a long time coming, you know, and again, it's the goal that I set when I turned professional. So it'll mean everything. That's why I do it.
Well, that's the first fight that we're talking about. That's the British welterweight title fight. Chris defending for the second time against Liam Taylor, and I think everything's suggesting that it's going to be an excellent fight. Now we move on next to the WBO European Super Welterweight title, which is between Hamza Shiraz from Slough, who's sitting to my right, and Ryan Kelly, the local lad from Birmingham. Hamza, first of all, undefeated in 9 fights. Your last 3 fights, I was working out, doing a bit of homework last night. They've lasted 6 minutes, 47 seconds. You don't seem to be wasting too much time nowadays.
No, but I just want to say I'm probably more nervous now than I will be fight night.
Get on with it.
Yeah, no, but like you're saying, this time I think the time is now. Even though my last fights were that quick, I think a step up in opponent as well. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully it will go a bit longer as well, because I can show what I'm actually about at the end of the day.
I've seen some of the interviews which have been done with you in the run-up to this, and you've kind of said that you hope this is going to be really a big breakthrough occasion for you.
Yeah, no, 100%, because I think it's about time. Do you know what I mean? I'll say it and I'll say it again. I don't want to fight journeyman and just build up a padded record, and then when it's time to fight for a big title, I end up failing. Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I feel like I said, I feel like this is the time, and I'm ready. Like training with Terry Dunstan, the training's been well. Like put me through my paces 100%, but I could sit here and bang on about how training's been, but like I said, the proof's in the pudding, and Saturday night we'll see what I've been working on.
Ryan's a step up, isn't he? I mean, he's a former Midlands champion, only had a couple of defeats, and he's got a lot of respect in the sport.
Yeah, no, 100% taking nothing away from him. He's a solid step up an opponent, do you know what I mean? And he's someone who's going to definitely get the best out of me, and hopefully I'll get the best out of him as well, because this sport's about entertaining, do you know what I mean? So it'll be good for both of us, and it'll also be good for the fans to hopefully we'll put on a good fight.
Ryan, you hear that? And what do you make of it? You're here not to make up the numbers. You're here to win.
Most definitely, you know, never gonna be the opposition. In my mind, I'm here and I'm the home fighter. So I understand. You know, Hamza's he's a young, talented fighter. 9-0. You know, I take nothing away from him, but he's stepping up in a good few levels, and it will definitely be lasting longer than 6 minutes. That's for sure. But well, on his side anyway, we don't know for definite. But you know, I'm looking forward to just getting in there and going to work now. You know, I've had a great camp, living and training out in Dubai. Doing some training with Ben. I've come back. I'm working now with my, my home trainers, Paul Coonahan, Louis Coonahan, and we've ticked every box. My weight's perfect. I'm just looking forward to another exciting fight against a young, hungry fighter, and I think we'll both put on a good show for you all.
Ryan, what's it mean to you to be fighting here in Birmingham at the arena and having all your mates and friends who are going to be there in the audience cheering you on?
Yeah, like I say, I've come back, but I've still tickets never a problem. So they're coming out in their hundreds to support me. They always do and they always will. I think so. It's again they're in for another very good fight that I'm involved in, and thank you to Frank Warren and Queensbury Promotions for putting me on such a good card in my hometown. Is your experience what you think is going to serve you well against Hamza this time? Most. I've had 16 fights now. Yeah, I have had a couple of defeats. Nothing to, shy away from. The 10 rounds. Both went 10 rounds, and they were both very good fights. But I've got that experience under the lights, and in the hard fights, which I do think plays a massive part in boxing. But like I say, either way, he's going to come. He's going to be hungry for the win. But I'm the man to put a stop to it, and that's what I'm looking to do on Saturday night. Hamza, how tall are you?
6'3".
How on earth do you make 11 stone?
I don't know myself, to be honest with you.
Do you make it comfortably? That's a serious question.
Making it comfortably be a lie, because I'm big for the weight, but I do get down to weight healthily. I don't kill myself in like hot baths and saunas, and I don't do none of that. Get down on a diet, really. That's it. And like I said, like I'm massive, like you said, Tori, I'm massive for the weight, and I don't know how I get down to it myself.
You say you're nervous here, sitting talking to everybody who's watching on now, but on the night when you get in the ring, your confidence sort of shines through.
Yeah, no, 100%. Boxing is what I've been doing since I'm 8 years old, so it's basically all I know. Do you know what I mean? I went to school and then I dropped out of school when I was like 17 years old, and since then, boxing's all I've been doing, and since 8 years old as well. So, but that's basically how I talk, you could say, through my boxing.
And you hear him talking about his experience, and I think the kind of the unspoken word is that he's not quite sure that you're ready for him. He thinks it might have come a bit too soon. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, 100%. If I had 16 fights and I was fighting someone who's 9-0 and only been the distance a couple of times, I think the same thing. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, I could be sitting here saying, yeah, he thinks this, I think that. But listen, Saturday night, it all come like proofs in the pudding, and I'm going to show that I'm more than ready.
Have you been able to watch him? Have you seen him?
No, I've seen him fight loads of times. I was at a couple of fights as well. So yeah, like I said, no taking nothing away from him. He's a solid fighter. He's a good fighter, and we'll put on a good fight for everyone.
And you've been able to watch him, no doubt. Do you see weaknesses? Anything you think you can exploit?
Yeah, of course, but we're not going to talk about that now. We're just going to put it to work on Saturday night. We've done our homework. We always do. So it's just time now to get in there Saturday, and like you just said, proofs in the pudding. And I always work hard. Fitness is never a problem. Durability is never a problem. So I'm excited. I'm just excited.
And the height, the reach.
It's just another thing to get paid. It's just another task. He could be short and fat, but he's tall and skinny. Do you know what I mean? It's just another thing I gotta get past. But once I get in and get to work, I'm sure I'll be fine.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a good fight. That's Hamza Shiraz defending his WBO European Super Welterweight title against Ryan Kelly. Right, moving on to the next one, which is the guys to either side of me. WBO Super Lightweight title fight. Sam Maxwell defending against Derbyshire's Connor. It is Derbyshire, isn't it? Yeah, just about. Yeah. It's just on the border, isn't it? Yeah, Derbyshire, Leicester, yeah. Staffordshire, but it's Connor Parker. And Sam, you've undefeated in 12 fights. Just talk us through, from your perspective, that fight against Sabiri, which brought you the title, because from a commentator's perspective, it turned out to be pretty amazing.
Yeah, tough fight. First round, I normally like to go out and have a look at the opponent, and I wasn't switched on straight away, and he came with his own game plan to put it on me straight away, and it got caught. And same again in the second, and it was just about trying to keep my focus, keep on top without making any more mistakes in the fight. And I think I was edging myself back into it, and I needed to win the last round. And I felt like when he wobbled me again in that last round, I thought I need to pull something out of the bag, and thankfully, at that time, the right timing of the shot, I got it right at the time.
Well, that's an understatement. People who've not seen the fight, what happened in that 10th round is that Sabiri stuns him, and then instead of going in looking for it, presumably he thinks he's done enough, starts clowning around, taking the mick, and to say he paid the price is an understatement.
That's it, yeah. But the only thing is, people, that got me a lot of exposure to the fight, and people are always like, oh, Sam Maxwell, oh yeah, you're the kid that was getting battered for 10 rounds, and last 10 seconds you knock him out. But so I want to show, I want this fight to show that I'm an elite level boxer. I'm a 2-time ABA champion. I'm a Commonwealth bronze medalist in the amateurs. I boxed all around the world, winning gold medals. I'm a great boxer. I'm not an elite puncher. I'm an elite boxer, and I want to show that on Saturday.
So people who maybe would say, well, that fight shows that perhaps Sam left a bit in the amateurs, and as a pro, he maybe can't get to that absolute elite level. You'd presumably totally refute that.
Definitely, that fight was just, I've come against a hard-hitting French guy who's coming wild, unpredictable, and he's caught me without me being switched on and off from it. I've learned so much. A lot of people learn off fights like that and they lose, and they have to learn off a loss. Where I was lucky enough to learn on a win, which but I've learned a lot. I know I need to be switched on from the first bell. I need to I've learned a lot, and don't write me off anyone. Like I'm gonna be go to the top in the pros as well, definitely.
What do you reckon, Connor? What do you reckon? You must have watched that fight between Sam and Sabiri again and again, and watched for problems. You're a boxer rather than a banger. I think that's fair to say.
Like I said before, it could have just been an off night from Sam, so I'm not really taking much away from that fight. I'm just ready for the best Sam Maxwell. That's it, really.
What about the best Conor Parker? You know, you've got these boxing skills that everybody talks about. Is that the key? Do you think you can outbox him?
Well, I know what I'm capable of. I'm very confident in myself, and I'm ready for Saturday night now. I can't wait.
Errol, your manager, who's here somewhere, he's said that the only way Sam beats you is to knock you out.
Well, I agree with him, really. I'm just confident in myself. I know what I can do.
I've got to try and knock him out then.
Well, you won the Midlands title against Kevin Hooper. Do you regard that as your best performance?
Yeah, definitely. It's the first person who came to beat me, and it brought the best out of me, and I performed very well.
Tell us what it was like growing up in a boxing family, because your dad was an amateur boxer. You've got a couple of cousins, including Zach, who are good fighters. Zach particularly. What's it like growing up in that sort of environment?
It was good, really, because we've always pushed each other on. My dad took me to the gym when I was 9 years old, and I was training with Callum, my brother, and Zach, my cousin. And ever since then, we've just been training together, and we've just pushed each other on through the amateurs. It's been brilliant, really.
And coming up as an amateur and watching the British boxing scene, you obviously must have been well aware of Sam.
Oh yeah, I remember Sam from the amateurs. Watched him a few times, amateur and pro. I've always known who Sam is. Yeah, a good fighter.
Sam, you had that fight against Sabiri last time around. How much have you learnt from that?
I've learned a lot. I've boxed since then, only once in June, July, and I think it shows. I was a lot more switched on straight away. I've changed my whole camp. I've got a nutritionist now, Ed Tooley, so my weight's perfect. You know, I'm full of energy. I'm training harder, feeling fresher in the mornings. Yeah, just little things like that. I've moved to Scotland full time now for my camps as well. Little percentages each time. I'm improving with being more professional, and I think it's really going to pay off on Saturday.
Whereabouts are you up in Scotland?
We're in Holytown, so it's about 20 minutes from Glasgow.
I can't hear the accent yet. still Liverpool through and through. Your mum's very important to you, Sam, isn't she? You lost your dad when you were a youngster. I guess the success that you're having must make her very proud.
Definitely, you know, we've been through a lot. My family, my dad died when I was young. We moved from London to Liverpool, which is a massive culture change. Like, my school was multicultural in London. Then when I moved to Liverpool, it was just an all-white school, which was very different for young black kids in Liverpool. And then also my mum got diagnosed with terminal cancer when I was like 17 as well. But she battled through that, and then she fought it off. Touch with so I've been through a lot. So she's a fighter, though, I know, and she can fight off like the biggest disease in the world, and so it gives me strength knowing how strong that genetics are in me. You know, I've got that fighter in me as well.
That must be absolutely inspiring. I know she tries to make it to ringside whenever you fight. Is she going to be there?
Yeah, definitely she'll be there again, and I don't want to put her through what I put her through against Sabiri this time. But even then, looking at the video, she never loses faith in me. Like, any rounds I'm getting hit, I'm losing. She's always belief in me is like, I'm never going to lose. And it's great to have someone like that.
Conor, you're the younger guy by, let me work it out, 7 years. 24 against Sam, who's 31, who had the long amateur pedigree, and he said he really wants to make the most of his professional boxing ability pretty damn quickly. If you were to win this one and take this belt, which he's brought along, how much would it mean to you? I know it's always asked, but what would it mean to you in your life as an athlete and a fighter?
Well, it's massive, really. I just want to keep winning all the belts, and it's just a start, really. After winning that belt, it's just the beginning.
And are you 100% convinced that you're going to do this?
I'm always confident. I know what I'm capable of, and I'm very confident.
And likewise you.
100%. I'm not going to lose Saturday night. I'm not going to.
Well, that's our first 3 fights to look forward to. We'll be looking at the other 3 on the card. I think we're going to do some head-to-head photographs before we get on with the last 3 fights. So if you want to be ready for those, and all the guys who've come along here as well, if you want to do one-on-one interviews, be it for radio, television, newspapers, online or whatever, they're all here, and they're all here at your disposal. So thank you very much for the 6 lads here. 3 excellent fights coming up for you live at the arena on Saturday nights. If you've not bought a ticket, good idea to do so. If you can't do that, then of course it will be live on BT Sport. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen in. Thanks, guys.
Well done.
confrontations indeed. Tickets are still available for Midlands Mayhem for the arena on Saturday night. And I think anybody who knows their boxing and looks at the range of talent that's on this bill will realise that it is a very high quality night's entertainment indeed. You've not got, you don't look at the bill and see 6 fights all on the left hand side and you think they're going to be 6 wins. These are 6 very, very competitive fights, and I'm sure that that's going to be borne out in what we see come Saturday night. We're going to see some very high quality entertainment indeed. Well, I mentioned to you that Anthony Kikuchi can't be here, so the British super featherweight champion Sam Bowen is across to my right. We'll be talking to him shortly. As well as that, a very, very entertaining super middleweight fight between Lerone Richards, the Commonwealth champion, up against Lennox Clark, and the vacant British title is going to be up for grabs as well there. And top of the bill, I suppose you'd say, is the WBO bantamweight title. Challenging for that title, Juan Casimero, who's sitting on my left here from the Philippines, managed or promoted by the great Manny Pacquiao, and Sean Gibbons, who's the Chief Executive Officer, President, I think, of Manny Pacquiao Promotions. He's here as well and going to be speaking alongside Juan, whose English isn't that great, so we'll find out exactly what he makes of this fight. And alongside me, somebody who's proved he's undefeated in 12 fights now and is absolutely at the elite level of the bantamweight division. The two of them are hoping that there could be a fight down the road against the brilliant Japanese champion, the WBA super champion, IBF champion, Naoya Inoue, and Zolani Tete is the current WBO bantamweight champion, and he will be squaring off against Casimero in what I'm sure is going to be a tremendous high quality top of the bill world title fight. And just talking to a few of the fighters who are here today, I think to a man, everybody involved, when I've said, yeah, that's a tasty fight, isn't it? And they've all said, you bet. That is a very, very high quality fight indeed, and one which, as the commentator, I'm looking forward to immensely. Now, first of all, let's talk about Sam Bowen. British super featherweight title against Anthony Kikuchi. He's not here, which is a shame, but I know that acting as devil's advocate, if you like, he really fancies this one, Sam.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Everyone who's going to be boxing me thinks they're going to fancy beating me, but they never do. So, like I say, on Saturday, we'll show what I'm about, and I'll be coming out with the belt as I went in with.
He's a rangy fighter and a good boxer. I think if he was here, he'd say those boxing skills are going to serve him well.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good rangy fighter. That just means I've got to get on him and rough him up and hurt him, and that's what I'm going to do.
You've gone full time as a pro now, haven't you? The job's been put to one side for the time being, so you've really made a statement that boxing is where you're at now.
Yeah, I left my job. Like I say, training's gone a lot better. I'm a lot more refreshed. I'm not exhausted all the time because obviously working and training. Sparring's been a lot better. I've managed to get a lot more rounds. I've been, obviously when I'm working full time, I'll be sparring at like 7 in the evening, and obviously there's very few people that are prepared to be sparring so late. Whereas now, sparring midweek in the day, I've done a fair few 12-rounders, and preparation's gone a lot better, a lot smoother. I've not got a cold, I'm not flued up like normal, because obviously I'm exhausted and drained, and like I say, I'm fresh and ready.
How did you come to that decision to say, yeah, I'm going to stop working, boxing's where I'm at? Is it the influence perhaps of Carl Greaves, your manager? Did he encourage you down that route?
We've always said that at some point we've got to concentrate on the boxing. It was my injury this year that's done it for me. I just thought, look, I'm about better. I've just got a fight day. I'm due to go back to work. I just don't think I could do the both. I'll end up being back injured and I won't be able to train properly. And I just thought, one's got to go. So I just thought, I can get a job anytime. Like I said, let's concentrate on boxing for now. We've got a fight date in it was 8 weeks' time, so let's just do it.
Anthony's got the one defeat on his record against Martin J. Ward. You were there at ringside, weren't you, for that?
Yeah, I went and watched the fight. That was an entertaining fight, as in they're both top fighters. Martin Ward's very good. I rate him. He's a very, very good boxer, very different to me, so it's hard to compare, but I thought that was the right decision on the night.
Anthony thought he was robbed.
I don't know why I thought that. It wasn't one-sided, but I thought the right decision went to Martin Ward, and I thought that was fair enough. He just did a bit more. But yeah, like I said, I was there and watched it.
I see you doing a bit of bit of homework. Maybe it's the Irish slant, but Carl Frampton thinks, when he looks around the talent in your division, that Anthony should have got really up towards world title level.
Yeah, he's from the same area. He's going to speak highly of people that he knows and from his area. But what people say is different to what people do on the night. I mean, they were saying how hard he is, but when he's sparring, it could be 10.5 stone. He's not fighting. The fight's not made at 10.5 stone. He's got met 9 stone 4. Like I said, we'll see how drained he is on the night. And like I say, and then when there's me, who's fresh and ready and strong, always strong on the night, we'll see.
How drained are you at 9'4" though? Because I mean, you're not a small bloke for a super feather.
No, I met the weight fine. Like I say, I've got a good diet. I train hard. Like I say, I'm not carrying fat. Like I say, everything's down to a T. Yeah, I know I've been working. That's not very professional, but everything is professional. Like, my diet's professional, and like I say, I'm not drained. I recover. I recover really well and quick. I don't have to drain myself to make the weight, and that always shows on the night. And I always did it as an amateur as well. Like I say, I always boxed heavier lads, and I was fine. So I can box heavy opponents, and they're not phase me. So people saying he's hitting hard in sparring, I thought, well, we'll see. So.
And now you're full time. You want the big fights. I mean, you want to win on Saturday, but I guess you want to move on.
Yeah, getting through Saturday, I only need to defend the British one more time to keep it. So it'd be silly not to. Like I said, there's still a fair few fights that could be made at British level that are competitive, tough fights. Like this one's going to be on Saturday. I don't make the matches, so like I said, that's not down to me. But ideally, after that, yeah, we'd like to be pushing on with the WBO.
Kikuchi's people, I'm sure, will be probably watching this online even as we speak. And I know from having talked to him at the previous press conference how much he feels that his boxing skills are going to make it a very, very awkward night for you. And they genuinely believe that they're going to win this title. What sort of message have you got for them?
Yeah, I'm glad to think that. I don't really, there's a lot of stuff on social media, I don't really buy into it, I don't really read into it, they're just trying to get in your head, and I've got zero enthusiasm to retaliate to any of the boring stuff that they put. I just think they're probably fat, overweight, sat at home just typing stuff, ain't got a laugh, ain't got a missus, just bored, so they think let's just be negative.
Well, it's going to be a good fight, nevertheless. Though I think you'd take that, wouldn't you? I mean, in an ideal world, I guess you go out in the first round and knock him out. But the reality is that's not going to happen. In all probability, it's going to be a very entertaining fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a long, entertaining fight. I never go out to try and stop him early. That's why we train for the 12 rounds. That's why I've done 12 rounds in sparring. We know that I'm capable of doing the 12 rounds. So, like I say, if it goes 12 rounds, which I'm not bothered if it does do that and win on points, I'll be happy with that, as long as I'm safe and happy.
Well, that's Sam Bowen against Anthony Kikuchi, which is the British Super Featherweight title. And moving on now to the Super Middleweights, we've got Lerone Richards to my right, who won the Commonwealth title and is now going for the vacant British title, that's right. Up against Lennox Clark, local lad from Hales Owen. You're going to be getting plenty of support in that arena, Lennox. Let's start with you and talking about that. As a local man, buoyed by that big support, how much of an advantage might that give you?
Listen, obviously I'm not looking in too much of a home advantage. Obviously, knowing Lerone is very professional, but obviously my camp's gone very well. I've trained very hard, and I believe it's going to pay off on the night, just through the hard work that I've done.
Some people close to his camp would say that he's just too good a boxer for you.
Listen, Listen. Obviously, the game plan I'm coming with, doesn't matter how good his boxing ability is, he's got to be prepared to go where I'm prepared to go on that night. You know, he's boring. His boxing's boring. You know, like, I'm going to bring nothing but excitement, and I promise nothing but fireworks on Saturday.
Are you thinking you've got to stop him and got to knock him out?
Listen, I've trained hard enough to go 12 rounds, and I believe it's going to be a 12-round fight. He's going to try and nick it and hustle his way through, because that's how he fights. You know, I'm going to be too relentless for him. I'm going to cause him nightmares in there on Saturday, and I believe I'm going to be British and Commonwealth champion.
I'll get Larone's response for a minute, so please don't take this badly, but your critics, Larone's critics, say that as a fighter, he can be lazy. Do you agree with that?
In this fight, he's not going to be able to be lazy, so obviously you'll see a different side to him come Saturday, but I believe in what I've been working on, and it's going to pay off for me.
Larone, you hear all that, and you hear me say that your critics have described you as a little bit lazy. I'm not totally convinced that Tommy Langford would agree with that. He was putting it on you, and you found another level against him, and were able to get an impressive win against a quality opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, I give myself a C- for that performance. It wasn't great. Obviously, I had a 30-month layoff, and I came straight into a big fight. So, yeah.
He can be, as a fighter, quite an intimidating presence. Do you recognise that?
Who? Lennox?
Lennox.
No. Lennox Clark talks a little bit too much, and you know, on Saturday you'll find out what Lerone Richards is all about.
You have this terrific boxing ability. I think anybody who's seen you would recognise that, but he clearly intends to put it on you to an extent where that boxing ability is really going to be tested.
Yeah, but there's more strings to my bow, and like I said, you'll find out on Saturday.
Do you think your power is underestimated? Do you think you're a bigger puncher than people perhaps recognise?
Mm-hmm.
Care to amplify?
Not really.
So what about the suggestion? I know you said about the C- thing, the suggestion that some of your critics have said, and I think Alan, your trainer, Alan Smith, has said that, you know, sometimes you fight in the comfort zone, that you don't really give absolutely everything that you sometimes are capable of producing. Do you agree with that?
Well, I work hard. You know, I'm a hard worker. I don't want anyone to think I'm lazy. You know, I work hard like I haven't got any talent. And like I say, on the 30th, you'll see a different Lerone Richards.
Tell us about a little meeting that you had. I think you were both ringside at York Hall when he got under your skin a little bit, didn't he?
Who?
Lennox. I heard he was smiling at you in a way you didn't. It didn't bring out the big smile on your face.
No, I saw. I was at York Hall. It was at a show at York Hall.
Brad Foster, wasn't it?
That one, yeah. And I was just watching my friend box and just looking around, and I see Lennox Clark looking at me. I was like, oh, there's Lennox, like that. And he was all smirking, giving me like screw faces, and I thought, oh, right, that's cool, man. It's not a problem. You know, we'll fight when we need to fight.
So there was at that moment a little bit of sort of, you know, let's wait. We'll see, and there'll be payback. I'll get that smirk off.
No. It's not personal. This is a strictly business for me.
Strictly business. Lennox, you'd remember that moment. What did you? Were you trying to get under his skin?
No, obviously there was talk of the fight. He's my opponent, so he's the next obstacle I've got to get past. You know, so if I want to look at him, I'll look at him. You know, and as simple as that.
And when you look at him across the ring when that bell goes on Saturday night, what sort of thoughts will you have then?
Listen, I'm just going to execute my game plan to how we've been training over the last 8 weeks, and obviously we've got full belief in it paying off, so yeah.
And how do you think this will end?
Me definitely being crowned British champion. I can't predict an outcome of how it's going to come, but I'm definitely going to be the winner.
Lerone, I mean, often people watching on television, you know, you get your massively hyped fights, involving the big names, and sometimes, quite honestly, they don't really deliver. But these British title fights sometimes can be the best fights on the bill. We've got several on this card. Are you anticipating a hard night against Lennox?
That's what I've trained for.
And you're anticipating victory?
Absolutely.
And how's it going to come?
We'll see.
Thanks for making my job so easy. But it is going to be an excellent fight, I'm sure. And you know, I mean, I at the first press conference, I said that I believe this could be one of the outstanding fights that you would ever see, and perhaps could turn out to be the best fight on the card of the undercard fights. Both of them really, as you can see, clearly fancy it. And when you've got two guys who go in there fully believing that they will win, then usually you get a very good fight. And that's what, as commentator and you know, the guy trying to create interest here today, that's something that I'm pretty confident that we're going to get. Now, top of the bill, WBO bantamweight title fight. Zolani Tete, to my right, against Juan Riel? John, we're calling you John as opposed to, okay. John Riel Casimero from the Philippines, 30 years old, 28 wins, 4 defeats. Solani, a year older, 28 wins, 3 defeats. Just tell us why you think that this is going to be your night.
Good afternoon, everybody. This fight, thank you for opportunity to fight. Then I tell you, this is the good fight. I give the good fight this coming November 30.
He's a lot bigger than you. He's 5'9", you're 5'4". You've been a world champion at light flyweight and flyweight. What makes you convinced that you can get to him? Because he's got the big reach advantage.
My advantage is I'm smart, then I have a power, then good stamina.
And you're promoted by Manny Pacquiao. Has he had words of encouragement for you?
Yeah, this Manny Pacquiao, he tell me that you work hard training, then go for the gold.
What about coming over to the UK to fight? What's your thoughts about that? Because Zolani's, I mean, this is a second home to him now. He knows all about fighting in the UK.
Yeah, I'm a second time display in UK, and then my opponent before Charlie Edward, then that's the good fighter.
And you the first time, of course, was when you stopped Charlie Edwards in September, what is it now, 2016, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Are you a better fighter now?
Yeah, this is best fight because I'm a work hard training. Then I do my best. I wanna win.
What are your thoughts about Zolani as a fighter?
Zolani is a good boxer. Then that's a top. Then same to me. He's a good boxer too.
He once won a fight in 11 seconds. He's not going to do that to you, is he?
Yeah, I have this one, but maybe this fight I give the good fight for Zolani Tete.
Sean, can I bring you in here? It's lovely to hear John struggling his way through my questions in what is clearly not his natural language. You work alongside Manny and a president of the promotional company behind John. Just give us an idea of how much interest there is in the Philippines and how popular he is in his home country.
First, to have someone like Senator Manny Pacquiao behind you, that just shows what type of talent you are for the senator to sign you. There's a lot of fighters he could work with, and he sees something special in John Riel. In the Philippines, Casimero's in the top 3 or 4 fighters in the best fighters in the Philippines. He's traveled the world. He's fought in 7 different countries. He's won 3 world titles. He's come to England before. So, he feels very good here. He feels very comfortable. And he's really looking forward to entertaining the fans here in Birmingham Saturday night.
How close is he? How much does he know Nonito Donaire?
Nonito.
And he was involved in that terrific fight recently against Inui in the World Boxing Series final.
Yeah, he knows Nonito. Not very close, but they've talked before. They've spoke. Nonito has given him some pointers, about the fight. He actually mentioned a couple things about Tete, things that he was working on, because Nonito had come to the Philippines to prepare for the Inoue fight. So Casimero and him are casual friends. They're not very, real close though.
And they've talked, obviously, about Zolani possibly having that fight somewhere down the line against Inui. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first of all, fourth defence of your title, and because of a shoulder injury which ruled you out of that World Series, you've been out of the ring for a while now. Are you concerned about ring rust?
Yeah, of course, I am concerned because I used to be an active fighter, but the way I've been training and the way we've been preparing with my team, I think being away from the ring for a long time won't be a factor to us.
What was the injury exactly?
It was the shoulder tendonitis.
Which side?
The right side.
The right side. So was it just rest or did you need surgery?
No, it needed a physio to attend it because the muscle had shifted from its original position. So they had to work up on it for a couple of months in order for it to get back to its original place.
I think anybody who's had that sort of injury, I've spoken to boxers before who've had that kind of injury, it's psychologically make yourself trust it, knowing that it could do what it did before you had the problem. Is that what you've found?
Yeah, the injury did create a factor in me, but as a true champion, you need to adjust and obviously you need to adapt because such things can take you from your route. I don't think the injury is going to stand in my way. I believe I'm going to give a good fight against Casimero. He's a good fighter and the fans wants to see a good fight.
He's somebody who you've obviously been aware of for a long time. Both of you have been in professional boxing for something like 12 or 13 years now. What's his strengths as a fighter? What do you have to watch out for?
Casimero is a good fighter. Sometimes he comes forward and he can also box. And he's got his power. Those are the things we've worked on. And I believe 30th November, we'll deal with all those things and be victorious on the night.
You've shown us some brilliant boxing skills in the time that that we've been able to watch you in the British ring. Do you believe now, though, having had this setback and at the age of 31, that you can still perform at the level that you have been doing?
I still believe I can still perform. It's only a shoulder. But mentally and physically, Zolani is still there. My boxing is still there. My boxing brains are still there. So definitely Zolani will perform once again.
It must have been massively frustrating to you because a lot of you, I was involved in commentating on that World Series at one stage, and we were all looking forward potentially massively to a fight between yourself and Inui. How much of a disappointment and a frustration was it that didn't happen?
It was very frustrating because we've been working hard, and those were the fights we were looking for. To fight the best in the bantamweight. But unfortunately, from my side, I had to pull out because of the injury. But I believe my dream is still continuing because I'm fighting one of the best, Casimero. And definitely along the line, I'll have to fight Inoue because he's the IBF and WBA. And I'll defend my title, and hopefully my next fight would be against Inoue.
Unification is what you really crave, isn't it?
Unification is what we want.
Is that fight one which is your big motivation now? I know you've got to fight John on Saturday night, and I promise you I'm not being disrespectful, but is that in the distance the one you really want against Inui?
I don't think it's in the distance. I think this fight is a step closer.
and the fact that he's recently signed for Bob Arum. Frank Warren works closely with Bob Arum, as we all know. I guess that makes it all the more makeable.
Yeah, it's possible for the fight to happen, hopefully early next year or mid next year. I believe Mr. Frank Warren will do whatever he does best to make sure the fight does happen.
So, before that, come Saturday night, I'll ask both of you just to say what sort of a fight it's going to be. Clearly, you both think you're going to win, but let's hear from John Real Casimero first of all. What sort of a fight are we going to see?
For me, I'm a work hard, so maybe I'm a win.
And how do you win? Is it going to be points, knockouts? What do you reckon?
Gonna knock him out.
Take that shoulder off.
Shoulder's coming off.
This all people he want to knock him out, then I will do my best to knock out.
And Zolani, somebody up there suggesting his shoulder's going to come off. What do we actually? I think that might be a little bit far-fetched. What are we actually going to see?
No, worry not, my brother. You're not going to see the shoulder going off. But you'll see the punches landing on Casimero's head.
Let's go, champ.
Are you still going to be the champion?
Definitely. No. I am a WBO world champion, and I will remain the WBO world champion on the 30th of November.
It's a fight I'm looking forward to enormously, and thank you very much indeed for being here and hearing from the fighters who've been so good in responding to questions heard around the country, around the world on the internet. Tickets, as I say, Saturday night are available. You're going to be able to watch live on BT Sport. And it promises to be a great evening of boxing. They're all here to do one-on-one interviews, and before then we'll have square-offs now for photographs. But thank you very much for your time, guys, and thank you very much for being such a great audience. Thank you.
He is special. Absolute dynamite. Oh,